Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting, action-packed episode of Boston Sports Nuts, the hottest show on podcasting anywhere across America. Just so you know that. So you got to get involved. Anyway, I'm Ken Berman, joined by my good buddies Paul Izzo and Jim Russo. Hey, guys.
Yeah,
Good to be here. Good to
How's
be
everybody
anywhere.
doing?
good.
Doing great. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
go.
get into this. Hey, so first thing up that I wanted to throw out at everybody and get a little discussion going was the return of Jayson Tatum. What we think of him so far, how he's playing, and where we need him to get to, and do we think that makes them a championship contender? Right, as long as he can get himself back in, and he's got like 20 games to mesh and get his legs back and get the feel. So, Paul, you want to hop in first because I know Jim's got a lot to say and I want him to back cleanup.
Oh, he was there too.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I
That's
don't
right.
think there's any question that the Celtics are a better team with Jayson Tatum in the lineup. The suggestion that he would upset things and change the way things are in a negative way, I think was kind of ridiculous. I never personally felt that way. As Charles Barkley or somebody said, he's one of the top 5 or 10 players in the league easily. And to add that to your team in March, when you're already a good team, can only be a positive. Having said that, it does seem as if they're still kind of working out exactly how they're going to play with him in the lineup. I think we've seen a slight decrease in Jaylen Brown's offensive productivity. I think it's going to be an adjustment period for him. But I would say so far so good, simply for the fact that he's looked good. I haven't seen any evidence that he's stumbling, that he isn't being aggressive. Maybe at times he's gliding around the court a little bit at 95% rather than 100%, but I don't think we could have predicted this to go any better than it's gone, frankly.
What do you
Well,
think, Jim?
I think this story can be broken up into kind of sections. The first, obviously, is Paul was there for the return. It's all the hard work he did, and to get back this year, and Celtics did not take a bridge year, and all that stuff is remarkable. I think the second aspect is how he's looked, which I think is good. I think he's looked good. He seems to be moving pretty well and this and that. The third is how he's played. I would say okay. And I would preface this with I don't expect him to be Jayson Tatum in the first 5 to 10 games. It's going to take time. And I think in the San Antonio game, especially after Brown went out, he was just firing up threes. And this year's team is, last we checked, I think it was down 6. They're more selective with the threes. I think they're getting better threes. And it seemed like I was watching last year's team a bit with him. I think he was 4 for 14 or something like that. He had a couple that were wide open that he drained. But the others, I personally would prefer to see him work himself in a little more than try to beat Tatum right away. But that's just me. I'm not involved, obviously. The next thing would be how they play. I mean, we see it. He brings up the ball sometimes. I think I've noticed an effort on his part not to walk it up like he used to all the time. I've seen him start to and then speed it up a little. And that's to his credit.
Yeah.
The last thing I would say is I've seen Brown play in the corner more than I have all year. And I really wish when Tatum brings it up that they would get both of them involved. And this will come. And the other thing is, he's a very good passer now, Tatum. We've seen that. He's made some really good passes from the top. But only one guy can play at the top. And, I'm not sure I like Brown just hanging out in the corner.
Yeah, well, that's my
Uh,
question is he's played 2 games. Sorry, Jim. He's played two
3.
games. There's about 3. I think what do they got? 16 or 17 left or something like that, or
Yeah.
18 or something like that. Is it enough? I mean, it's almost a quarter of a season. Is it enough that they can work everything out? I think the good news is they've played together for the last 10 years. You know what I mean? So they have a head start. But the team did have, and I'm with you, Paul, nothing negative about him coming back. It's just the team had sort of formed an identity where Brown, seemed like 80% of his shots were mid-range or closer,
Well, it
right?
just seemed that way. It wasn't that way. I mean, he was still chucking up threes. I think the team was making an effort to be more selective. I agree with Jim, but I got to push back on even a hint of negativity about this because
Yeah,
one thing I've noticed about Tatum, which in the very first game he came back, he was clearly trying to be the distributor of the day.
yeah,
He was bounce passing it down low to Kada. He was dishing it around the perimeter. The next 2 games that went out the window. He's at if you take just the 3 games he's played, he's averaging more 3-point shots per game than any other season of his career. So in other words, he's already come back with a vengeance, chucking up threes. So the one thing I agree with Jim on is
is that
we
good or
may be
bad?
seeing a little bit too much of that,
Yeah.
but I think that's just him trying to get his shot back.
Well, I
I
told you
think he
my
just
theory the other night in a text. I got a feeling that it's coming from Joe Mazzulla. Like, we want you to work it out now. Get your legs, get your shot, feel comfortable, feel confident. They're going to live with a couple of tough threes, I think, if they feel it's going to benefit them in the playoffs.
yeah.
First of all, I don't consider any of this negative. Um,
Yeah, it's
you know,
positive. He's
I'm
back.
just telling you what I'm seeing. Um, and I think it's all positive that he's back. And I think Missoula's telling him, do whatever you want, do what you'd normally do. And
Hmm.
I think that I don't know what good it does for Jayson Tatum to just go out there and fire up contested threes. I don't know how that helps him. Now, you think it does?
No, I don't know
I
if,
I
hope you're
didn't say
right.
it does. I'm just trying to explain
No,
what he's
Ken,
doing.
yeah,
Ken
I don't know if
kind
it
of
does
implied
either.
that,
Yeah.
and I got it wrong, I guess, but I'm not sure how that helps his development to fire up difficult, contested threes right now when he's probably not getting the lift he got before. And, you know, but the bigger, I don't consider this a negative. It's just how he played the other night. That's all.
Good.
And to answer the big question, Ken, which you raised, is yes, I think 20 points is enough. 20 games is enough time. And they won't have any trouble working this out as far as playing together. I mean, you see Baylor Shireman have a tremendous game off the bench.
Yeah.
But you could see the difference when Tatum went down in the first quarter. When he sat down, Brown took over the game.
Right.
As Scal said, he was the best player on the court.
Hmm.
Um, and but I think it's going to work. I think the question is, will Jayson Tatum be Jayson Tatum in 20 games? And that I have no idea. And again, all credit to him for coming back this season. And anybody that thinks, first of all, yeah, they had established an identity. That identity is not good. It was not good enough to win the NBA title. With Jayson Tatum, they have a chance to win the NBA title.
Okay, so that goes to my other thought, and Paul chime in. If Tatum works it out, he gets back to being, 95% of Jayson Tatum. Is this roster good enough to win a championship?
Yes.
You think so? I think they
They're
need
one
to
of the
finish
top,
that.
their record suggests they're one of the top 5 or 6 teams in the league.
Yeah,
And as we've seen in almost every postseason in the last few years, injuries can come into play, whether it's Tatum, Halliburton, Kyrie Irving,
yeah.
top players going down. and you know, root for that. But you know, Oklahoma looked unbeatable. They were going to win 75 games. Now all of a sudden they haven't had their best player, the reigning
Well, he's
MVP.
back now, but
Well, no, but they didn't have him, and they
right,
don't know that he's going to be healthy.
right.
So we don't know what's going to happen. If they're fully healthy and Tatum is healthy and they get back Vukovic, we haven't mentioned that. I think they're a legit candidate to win it all. And boy, wouldn't that be a story?
Yes, it would. I think they are if Tatum returns to being Tatum. And the other thing I've noticed in these 2 games of this stretch, of this 3-game stretch against really good teams, Cleveland, uh, Oklahoma City, and San Antonio, I think they need Vucevic. Uh, they're not getting, they haven't gotten these 2 games superb center play. And Vucevic is probably the best center they have, and I think they need him healthy. Um, you know, I think they could win. And like Paul said, a lot of it depends on injuries. Right. I mean, they played San Antonio even until Brown went out.
Yeah.
Right now, the 2 best teams are OKC and San Antonio. And I think Denver a little right there.
You
But
put
yeah,
us over Detroit?
they're a contender. Sure, Ken, they're a contender, absolutely.
Okay. You put us
And
over.
again, I'm not being negative on Tatum. It's just what I saw in that game. I think what he's done is extraordinary. And I've said this even before his injury. I think we Celtics fans are very fortunate that our 2 best players are Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I mean, we've been lucky. These guys are in the community. They're great players. They
Yeah.
care about winning. They really care about winning, and they don't load manage. The team basically has to tell them
Right.
to load manage, which, you know, in this era, that's a whole nother show. But
Yeah.
these guys want to play.
Yeah. And
And
Brown did say in an interview, I think it was yesterday, wasn't it, that he goes, it's been me and him and a bunch of other dudes have made it to the Eastern Conference Finals and the finals all the time. So,
yeah, I
we're
think we're very lucky, just like we were with the other great twosomes
all
we've
right. I
had.
want to do 1 minute on the Jaylen Brown ejection, just
Yeah.
1 minute, and then we're done. Um, did he let his team down by losing control like that? Anybody?
Jim, go
Well,
ahead.
I think 2 things can be true. I noticed a show. I said that before. I think 2 things can be true again. First of all, Jaylen Brown is a top 5 player in this league. He has complaints against the officials this year. He's not treated as a Shea Gilders Alexander on drives and stuff like that. But he, being a top 5 player, he cannot put himself in a position to get himself thrown out. He can't. He just cannot. Having said that, that was a very poor case of refereeing in the NBA the other night. This is not, you know, rec league or whatever basketball. This is the NBA. You've got a feature game, nationally televised game, 2 top teams, 2 title contenders. But even bigger than that, Jaylen Brown argued with the crew chief who didn't make that call. Okay, who was wrong, by the way. That was he was pushed. So he was arguing with the crew chief who gave him a tech. And basically, by his actions as this was going on, was saying, okay, I'm going to give you a little leeway. Don't go too far. And this other guy, who's not the crew chief, who, by the way, is an incredibly educated man, I read today. So kudos to him. But he has like a degree in physiology and something else. So kudos to him. He's probably a great guy. I just disagree with him on this. He comes in and tosses Jaylen Brown. Well, the crew chief was handling it. He knew when he was going to go. Now, sometimes the crew chief comes in and bails out a rookie ref, but not the other way around. That was bad refereeing. And, you know, it's not a social crisis. It's just a shame that we didn't get to see Brown in that game.
Paul, wrap that up.
I put 100% of the blame on Jaylen Brown. First of all, I think it was a marginal push. I know Jim and I debated this on a text string the other day. And I think that it was probably a bad call. Let's assume it was a bad call. It happens. It was early in the game. It wasn't a pivotal moment. I understand he's frustrated. He feels like he should get to the line more. I think he should get to the line more. But if I were advising him, I would say, you get more bees with honey. This kind of behavior where you explode like that and call the refs out and tweet while the game is still going on, it's not helpful. Like, do you want the problem to be fixed, or do you want to let the whole world know you're angry? I think this may be a positive in the long run because maybe someone sits down with him and says, look, you got a legitimate beef. I'm the coach or I'm the assistant coach. I'm going to work this through the refs the way I do it. You just got to keep your nose clean because we can't afford to lose you in a game like that,
Right.
especially if it's possibly going to lead to suspension, which very often those kinds of things do. So
Yeah,
I mean, bad calls happen in the NBA all the time. You can't lose your bleep like that in a big game.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said, and I think someone in the Celtics organization should talk to him.
Yep.
But I would ask you, Paul, do you support what that other ref did? Because I really don't.
Well, the thing is, Jim, what I don't know watching it is what words were said. And I don't know what I just don't know enough to know exactly what caused the ref to eject him. But even short of objection, he did make a bit of a scene over it.
Yeah, yeah. But
I
here's what we
mean,
do know. Here's what we do know. The crew chief saw it all, was looking directly at him, and didn't throw him out.
yeah,
I,
that's
that's
a fair point.
so
But it's like
again,
saying he
I
went
think
right
two
to the
things
edge of a
can be
cliff.
true.
Don't even I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think two things can be true. Everything you said about Jaylen Brown, which he should never be in that position. But the other thing is true too. And that's just bad refereeing.
Yeah.
This is not rec league. Okay? Let the crew chief handle it. If Brown went over the line, he'll toss him. He's a more experienced official. He'll toss him.
He's been in the league for 10 years. I don't know what the problem is, why he doesn't get the respect he deserves. He's not a malcontent. He's not violent.
No.
Um, he just doesn't get the calls.
Yeah.
Ken, you haven't weighed in on this.
Yeah, no, I can understand him voicing his opinion and getting the first tech, but as a 10-year pro, he needed to know that I said what I wanted to say to the ref. Now I got to go play basketball. I can't. He was out of control. Now I'm agree with Jim. The other guy shouldn't have come in and done that, but he needed to take a deep breath. His teammates were trying to calm him down a little bit. He's a pro. Um, it was a big game against San Antonio. I think he needed to like say, "Hey, I got my point across. I got my tech. I'll play basketball now." So I was a little disappointed he got himself tossed out, but I do agree with Jim that that guy had no right coming in and tossing him out. So just, but the playoffs come, you better be able to control yourself. That's all. Because there's
Yeah, and
going to
that's
be
the
bad
other thing. I
calls.
don't know how many techs he has, but if you get 16,
Yeah, he's got a few this year. He's got
yeah.
quite a few.
I mean, I think Doncic is one away, by the way.
I can't
So
even, we'll do a whole show on something like that at another time because the NBA itself needs to change this whole thing where, and by the way, our guys do it. Jayson Tatum is as guilty as anybody. Every time he drives to the hoop and he doesn't
yeah,
make the hoop, he does this.
they tried
Doncic
to.
does it on every play.
Oh, he's terrible. They tried in that respect. They tried it a few years ago. It didn't work. They
They
tried
got
to
to figure
call
something
techs
out.
early in the season.
As
They
a
gave up.
fan, it's just not fun after a while.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah. All right. Hey, can we move on? Because I'm not sure if it's legitimate tampering time or illegitimate tampering time, or it's time that you can sign guys or you can't sign guys. But the NFL is in there. Everybody's signing guys left and right before the proper date and after the proper date. But Paul, maybe you can fill us in a little bit on who the Patriots have signed and maybe who they've lost or something like that.
Okay, so I've done a little work into this, looking into this. First of all, it's not that big. Basically, the 2 first days of free agency are reserved for players of a certain type. And it got called legal tampering, unfortunately. But really, what it is first stage free agency. And then yesterday, we're shooting the show on Thursday, March, whatever it is.
12th.
On the 11th, then official free agency, in which case all players, including the ones in the earlier period, become free agents. So now we're in full free agency. Anybody who's a free agent is fair game. You have your restricted free agents and you have your unrestricted, but they're all free agents. Anyway, so the Patriots have had, I think, a good, not spectacular free agency. So one way to look at it is, how did Pro Football Focus rate these free agents before free agency began? And I'll start at the beginning. I'll start big picture. The Patriots have signed 4 of the top 75 free agents
Hmm.
that were listed under Pro Football Focus and have lost no top 75 free agents.
Not even Diggs, huh?
He's not gone yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. He's not gone. So far, they've signed the 40th best player, who's a guard, Elijah Vera Tucker, who is a really good player, really good when he's healthy.
Right.
His problem hasn't been a chronic injury. His problem has been a series of injuries. Last year, he blew out his tricep. I got to think a tricep is a bad thing to hurt, but it's not his legs. So if he comes back and he's healthy, that's a major upgrade at the guard position. They signed the 45th best free agent, an edge rusher, Draymond Jones, who's a really good player. He's more of an interior pass rusher. He had 51 pressures last year. Good, solid edge linebacker. They signed an interesting wide receiver, Romeo Doubs. Now, if you watch the NFL, he's the guy that has the crazy helmet with the padding around it for the Green Bay Packers. He's the 49th best wide receiver, 49th best free agent, and he is a solid number 2 or 3 wide receiver. And then they got this kid, Kevin Byard, who's a safety, who is an outstanding player. They signed him for 1 year. He has been on the All-Pro twice. He led the league in interceptions last year with 7. He's an upgrade from Jalen Hawkins, who they lost. Now, who did they lose? They lost the 77th best player, Jalen Hawkins, who was a safety. They lost the 100th best player, the one that I feel bad about, which is Jayson, the edge rusher.
Yeah, he was good.
Who had a good postseason, unlike a lot of other Patriots who didn't. They lost the 182nd best player, Austin Hooper, the tight end. And they lost the 189th best player, Kairis Tonga, the big giant defensive lineman who we occasionally saw play fullback. So they've also signed some other guys, Julian Hill, Mike Brown, who will be depth pieces. And there's still a lot more time. There's still a lot of good players out there. One player that I would look at is Jadeveon Clowney, who he's been on like 7 teams in the last 8 years, is a really good player, not a star, edge rusher. They might be able to get him cheap. And they still have money to spend. So I would say good free agency period. You know, they didn't land Trey Hendrickson. They didn't get Alec Pierce, the wide receiver. They let Stephon Diggs go. That's a loss. Let's not sugarcoat that.
Yeah, 1,000.
But as far as comings and goings of players actually that have been signed and actually been lost, I think they're in a net plus category right now.
What do you think, Jim? Are they better, worse, or the same?
Braves, I trust. Paul gave a great summary there.
Thanks. Jeez.
I'd only add that they also signed Reggie Gilliam, who's a fullback.
The fullback, Reggie Gilliam.
And they
McDaniels
also
loves
lost
a fullback.
Vidanian Lowe.
Vidarian Lowe, I forgot to mention.
Yeah. And their last
Signed
one
him or
left
lost him?
is Thea Mumford Jr., who has not signed with anybody yet. I mean, they needed to replace Diggs. You know, Dobbs seems fine. And they seem to have just swapped edge rushers. So we'll see there. And, Tucker, it's all about the health. And I found it interesting that Bayard, who's a three-time Pro Bowl player, only signed for 1 year. I'm not sure what that's about. Usually stars, or at least Pro Bowl players, sign for more money and more years. So
A little older, I think that's part of it.
a little older. Okay, he's
Yeah.
getting 9 million, so maybe that's it. Maybe he's older. I guess he didn't get any offers for multi-years because I think it's hard to believe he wouldn't have taken it. So good for the Pats. 1 year is certainly worth a roll of the dice, even if he's older.
Mhm. Yeah.
And our producer is telling us Tucker had a torn tricep in 2022. Keep that up. Keep that up.
We're just getting to it, Evan.
Can't remember that. A torn Achilles and a third injury too. But thank you, Evan. Appreciate it. So that's my take. We'll see.
I think Evan said he was made of glass or something like that.
2 torn triceps, Evan is now saying. But that's my take. Hopefully it works out.
Yeah, so I think when you look at these comings and goings, you might say to yourself, well, why get rid of Jalen Hawkins and sign this other guy, Biard? Why get rid of Diggs and sign Romeo Dobbs? Why it's not always just money. I think a lot of times it has to go with the type of player they are. They have a very experienced coaching staff now. They have the Doug Marones and they have, guys that have a certain way of doing things. And I think certain types of players fit in with certain systems better. So these are things that average fans like us, or even more knowledgeable fans than us, don't really know. And they don't really share that information. So you have to kind of make assumptions. You look at Pro Football Focus. I read a tremendous amount about the draft and free agency, and it's inconsistent. Like some people are giving the Patriots average grades. Some people are saying they've had a good free agency. We don't know. I think looking back, they had a great free agency last year. I mean,
Yeah,
Milton
I
Williams.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't mean to interrupt, but I was going to say, yeah, that, I don't know a lot about all these players, but I rely on the fact that, yes, these guys came in, Vrabel came in last year, signed free agents, and yeah, had a really, really good year. So I lean toward, we kid around about in Vrabes we trust or something like that. But, I kind of mean that after last year. Now we'll see this year. It doesn't work every year, but that gives me hope. I think the big thing, the big shoe has yet to drop, and that is this. The contract the Rams gave to McDuffie, the cornerback, all-world cornerback that played for the Chiefs. If you're Christian Gonzalez, probably thinks he's as good as McDuffie, and he may very well be. So is this the new Patriots where they get an absolute superstar that's not named Tom Brady and they sign him? Or is it like before where we just don't pay these guys because we got to distribute it throughout the team? And, that approach worked when you had Tom Brady. So I think that's the big thing that's going to happen is whether they extend Gonzalez and pay him. Ty Law, I read the other day, was saying, pay the man. And I think I might have even been before McDuffie signed. So obviously Ty Law, one of the 2 greatest cornerbacks in the history, along with Mike Haynes. But I don't want to see him go, but it's not my money either. So.
Right. No,
I'm on the fence as whether or not they'll keep him. First of all, if you look at Pro Football Focus again and other websites, he's not rated in the top 5. Now, he had an incredible Super Bowl. I thought he was maybe the best player on the field, independent of the score. I mean, he just made 3 or 4 spectacular plays in that game.
Sure did.
Which raises a question, why don't we see that kind of effort all the time? Like, I'm not sure that he is a guy that this crusty crew of coaches is gonna roll out the red carpet for. It's a gut feeling that I have. I will say this: I think your two most important players in this era are your quarterback and your lockdown corner. I think if you,
Yeah, I don't read Pro Football Focus like you do. Again, this is so unscientific. I admit it. I admit it. I watch the Patriots. Various announcer teams call their games, and they prepare. They meet with the coach. They meet with
yeah,
almost all of them rave about this guy. And I don't know enough about the ins and outs of cornerback play to say they're right or wrong, but boy, it's almost unanimous that this guy is really, really good. And I agree, Paul. I mean, quarterback play, rushing the passer, and a lockdown corner, man. That's modern football.
Yeah, those are the three. I don't know. I think quickly, I think they're in a little bit on the plus side on this comings and goings, Paul, but before we move on to something else, do you think they're going to do more? And what do you think they should do?
well, I think they need to upgrade at wide receiver, and I think that they're looking. I think that they are looking to the draft for needs now,
Hmm.
and I don't mind that
Yeah,
because
I agree
you
with that.
you they had a good draft last year. It
Hmm.
wasn't an amazing draft, but they had a pretty good draft. If they can do that again and land either an edge rusher or another offensive lineman or a wide receiver, the problem is the free agency period comes before the draft. So
Right.
you might have to say, well, here's who we project we're going to be able to get in the draft at 31 and late in the second round. Maybe we get the edge rusher, we sign the edge rusher, or we trade for AJ Brown, give up the first round pick. That's what they have to think of. This AJ Brown thing is taking a long time to happen.
Yeah.
Um, I'll tell you the biggest story in the National Football League is clear, and I just want to bring it up because I think it's really important, is this canceling of the Max Crosby trade to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
So he gets traded for a whole host of first round picks. He gets to the Ravens and he fails his physical. Um, Gotta be, I have no love for the Raiders going back to the 76 debacle 50 years ago, whenever that was.
Yeah.
However, I think they got screwed. Everybody knew Max Crosby was hurt. The
Mhm.
Raiders made all, from what I understand, the medical records available. Baltimore brings him in, gives the Raiders all this draft capital, and then says, "Oh, you fail your physical." Now, perfectly legal, Baltimore can do it, but this is a franchise that has pulled that stunt before, and it's got to be very frustrating because now Crosby knows, he was traded to a really prominent franchise. He's getting out of that mess. Now he's back there. And I think a lot of teams are going to look at similar situations like that and say, wow, we got to fix that. Like we got to figure out a way to avoid that because it was the biggest story in the league for 36 hours and then it went away. I just thought it was wow. Like you don't see that happen.
No, you don't. No, I
Yeah,
agree.
just back to the Pats for next year. When you brought up the draft, keep in mind, and I know you know, but really good draft last year, but drafting 31 this year.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
this is a whole different animal than the last 2 years where the Pats picked third and fourth. This is a whole different animal. So, you know, and I'm sure they'll have boards where they're going to guess who every team above them is going to pick because they may want a wide receiver, but they may be gone. They may not like anybody that's left. They may want an edge rusher, but and then the fans will go, it's the old Cheers thing with coach, they got the running back they need. No, coach, they needed a linebacker, and then Sam comes
Right.
in, they need a running back. Oh, yeah, right. The guy might not be there that they think can help them at a position of need at 31. So then do you trade up? And I don't know, Paul, you're the Patriots expert. When is the last time they traded up?
Yeah, I mean, they have done it. I think they did it to get Christian Gonzalez,
Did
Mm.
they? Okay.
maybe. Yeah,
Well, that was a good move.
yeah.
We're
So,
debating about whether to give him 900 million or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's going to cost Bob Kraft a few shekels, but
Yeah.
no, it's a fun time of year. I know you guys aren't as into it as I am,
No, I
but
like
it's
all this
fun
wheeling and dealing. That's always
it's
good for
fun
the
all to
sport.
see the comings and goings, and a lot of CBS covers it well. Pro Football Focus, Yahoo, ESPN, they all have boards. You can go on every hour and see who's gone, who's gone. There are a lot of good players still out there.
Are they really?
Yeah,
That's
oh
my
yeah.
quick. That's my last sort of question. Who is there? Some you want Clowney, but is there anything else that you see out there? A name that you think they should try to get?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
I mean, what they would love to get is a tight end, but there just aren't any.
There aren't any, huh?
Yeah, I
No.
like this period. I just don't know the players like I do the
Right.
NBA players. So
Right.
when the NBA has this period, I know every player that's being signed. But yeah, I think it's it's kind of cool to see the roster shift.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Just don't have the
It's amazing. It's amazing the flurry of activity that happens. Like the second they can do something, if you listen to the radio, within 5 minutes, there's like
yeah.
5 guys signed, and so it is fun to hear about that. And
Yeah.
in Vrabes we trust, Jim. In Vrabes we trust. So there we go. I think the Pats, like Paul said, will do a couple other minor things, and then you do have to hope. Part of your plan has to be, no matter where you're picking, that you get a couple of players in a draft. I mean, I don't think you can build a franchise without getting some good draft picks out of this too. They got a bunch of them. They got like 11 picks, right, in this draft right now. So I think that you got to get something from the draft. So
All right.
Right.
hey, moving on, as they say, into another category of Boston sports nuts, is I wanted to bring up the World Baseball Classic. Did I say that right? Is right?
Yeah.
Yeah, WBC, World Baseball Classic. Are you watching? Are you really interested, excited? Is it must-see TV or what? What do you guys think about that before we get into the actual individual player, the teams, and all that stuff?
That's like 5 questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
I've been watching a little. I wouldn't say I'm excited or invested, but I enjoy the games for the simple reason that I love baseball, and they're far better than Red Sox, Twins. For what did they used to call that? The something cup or something. Nothing against the Twins, obviously, but it's
They
just
still do it, I
exhibition.
think.
So I enjoy a couple of games just because it's baseball. But no, I'm not super excited. I'll watch. I'll watch whatever I can of the. I'm not going to watch it over a Celtics game, but I'll watch. Especially the United States team. I mean, the other day, we had such a great Red Sox component. I mean, Durant hit 2 home runs in the same game. That Anthony hit a 3-run homer in the same game. That Durant was part of a tremendous relay to nail Anthony at the plate. Now,
Yeah, that
tell
was
me
great.
tell me that's not better than Yankees Cardinals at Fort Myers.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun, and that's all I take it as. I'll root for the United States. I watched some of the Italy game last night. I rooted for Italy so the U.S. could get into the quarterfinals, which they did, which I think presents a very interesting game tomorrow night. I remember when U.S. beat Canada for the gold medal in hockey. I think somebody called Mad Dog and said, "Yeah, that's like Canada beating us in baseball." Well, they got a shot.
Yeah.
Now Italy, it's really interesting, went 4-0 in a group with the U.S. and Mexico.
That's who I'm pulling for.
They are.
I'm all in on Italy.
And I think they're all Americans. They're all Americans who have some Italian connection or descent. And to me, one of the big stories was the manager after they beat after they beat Mexico, going on a morning show the next day and saying that the United States had moved on, despite the last game coming up against Italy that night, that they had already moved on. and then he realized he was wrong later in the day. That was, I don't know, that was embarrassing. Almost felt bad for the guy because he took a lot of, what over it. But yeah, it's fun, Ken. That's my answer to your 5. It's fun.
Yeah, I think it's the nature of baseball to be less dramatic in international play because we all have this intuitive sense that one game doesn't really mean that much. I go back to 1967. The Red Sox needed every possible win they possibly could get to win the pennant that year. This is the pre-playoff era.
Yeah.
And Cleveland beat them twice at home in the last week.
Right.
Cleveland wasn't that good. It was like, it just happens in baseball. So one game, hockey seems to be the sport that in football, obviously, one game means a lot. But having said that, I've actually followed it pretty closely, particularly the Red Sox players.
Yeah.
Durant is having a great
Showing some
tournament. His OPS is 1,400. Anthony, not quite at that lofty level, but he's over 1,000. I think Duran is tied for the most home runs in the tournament. I may be wrong. I think he has 3 or 4 home runs. So, the Red Sox players in the tournament have excelled, and that's fun to watch.
Yeah, Yoshi has hit tremendous for Japan. They went 4-0.
Yeah.
I think another thing why this, although I'm enjoying it and I will continue to watch, another thing why it doesn't grab people as much as hockey or basketball is that, U.S. has Paul Skeens. I mean, this guy's phenomenal. But he's only going to pitch 4 innings,
Right.
And if this, in a really big game, Paul Skeens is going at least 7. So I think that makes it a little less, than, Ohtani is not going to pitch. He's only going to hit, which is more than enough. But, last time you had that dramatic moment of Ohtani versus Trout, which was truly a tremendous moment. So I think that too, but I'm enjoying it. The hockey was so intense, and the Olympic basketball of 2024 was phenomenal. But yeah, I'll enjoy it. And U.S. Canada should be fun. And Durant's coming back to the Sox, and the Sox actually had 15 players in their organization. So
how many?
15
that are in the tournament.
That were in the
Yeah. Some of the guys aren't star players, but
right, some of them are. But Contreras is in the Venezuela. Abreu plays for Venezuela. They moved on. Rafaela played for the Netherlands. Contreras, the new guy, played for Venezuela. They've moved on. Bayo on the Dominican Republic. They've moved on. How about Greg Weissert, Red Sox reliever, in the Italy game? The U.S. had a rally.
Yeah.
And, got to 8-6 with a man on, and here comes Aaron Judge, and Weissert struck him out.
a good sign.
Yeah. By the way, in that game, just as people that love baseball, it's 5-0. It's early. The U.S. has a great lineup, right? So you think maybe they can come back. There's first and second with 1 out. I don't know who was pitching.
Yeah.
Ground ball back to the pitcher. Okay.
I saw this.
Can't make the double play. Throws it to center field.
Bounced.
Man, that is it looks such an easy play, but it's such a difficult play for even the pros. So, but and by the way, the Mexico game, who saved it? Garrett Whitlock.
Right.
2 strikeouts.
Yeah, the Red Sox players have really shown well, which is sort of cool.
Yeah.
So my question about that is it seems to be this is higher intensity, working harder, doing things at a different level than spring training. Is there any possible negative effect to that? Do they go too hard too early?
Ask a New York Met fan that question, Ken. Because they will tell you 3 years ago when Diaz blew out his kneecap and was lost for the season, and they lost one of the best closers in baseball. But you know what? International sports is becoming the thing, and the U.S. has come around on this stuff because whether it's hockey, basketball, and now baseball, the rest of the world loves this stuff. And if we want to win, we're going to have to risk some stuff.
Yeah, the one thing that I've never understood about Major League Baseball, I mean, we grew up when we were kids, baseball was king.
Yep.
And then by the time we were teenagers, it's in the 70s and 80s, the NFL became king and the NBA has caught up to a degree. If you ask people their favorite sport, Major League Baseball is usually not near the top. Having said that, I think Major League Baseball should look at international expansion. I can't imagine that a team in Tokyo wouldn't be successful, or a team in Korea wouldn't be successful, or a team in Taiwan, or Dominican Republic may not have the population. Venezuela, we have political issues over there, or a team in Europe of some kind. It just seems to me that traveling can be overcome. You can play a 6-game series. There's a lot of things you could do. The European team could fly over and play 30 games and then go home. It's just baseball has expanded to other countries, particularly in Asia.
Hmm.
And I think there's a real opportunity there for Major League Baseball.
Well,
I'm surprised you don't hear more about it.
You look at these teams. Dominican Republic is really good. So is Venezuela. So is Japan.
Hmm.
Mexico wasn't bad, and Italy is surprising everybody.
Yeah.
These teams are good, and around the world, look at the '92 Dream Team. That's why we are at where we're at in basketball, where 26 to 33% of the league is foreign. The hockey took off when the Russian players proved that A, we can play with, and B, we can beat NHL players. Back to the 72 Super Series or whatever it was called, and on and on and on. These events mean more to the rest of the world than they do to us. But as Paul said, as he was talking about, around the world, they can have good teams, and they're proving it. These players are coming to the United States. And as the U.S. interest in baseball kind of goes down a little, their interest is coming up. And,
I heard Italy's Little League is exploding.
The U.S., look around. What we used to call the Big Four, but throw in soccer. Best soccer player in the world is not American. The best hockey player is McDavid. He's Canadian. The best basketball player is either from France or from Serbia.
Canada.
And the best baseball player is from Japan. The only guy we got who's the best is in football.
Yeah, it's true.
Tom Brady. No, he's all done. So I did hear a report that Little League baseball is really getting more and more popular in Italy. That they're playing a lot more baseball, and Little Leagues have really expanded and
youth baseball or Little League baseball.
Well, they were just talking about Little League and how many kids are now playing.
Okay.
In Italy, so and you're right. This is fun. I would hope none of our guys get hurt.
Yeah.
I don't want Whitlock, throwing out his arm because, we won a WBC game, but okay.
Well, Cora got calls from managers, apparently. He said, asking if his players could pitch back to back, and he said no.
I love it. Hey,
and the managers of the teams are very involved in this with their players. They're limiting their pitchers. They're, telling DeRosa and, people who can go an extra inning, who can do this.
Just like the college coaches for Cape Cod Baseball League, right? That's right.
Right.
They're on top of their players.
Yeah.
Hey, upcoming this week. Well, I don't know how much time we got, but
wrapping up soon.
Yeah. Coming up this week for us, for me, I don't know. There's not a major, but sort of what's called the 5th major in golf. It's called the Players Championship. It's one of those courses I like because I think it's the 17th hole is the par 3 with the water. It's very famous. It's a tournament that I like to watch every year. You guys into that? Everybody interested in that a little bit, or?
Oh yeah. As Paul said, we were talking about golf recently. He says he watches it for courses. Well, this is
Yeah.
one of those courses.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
watched the course.
The 17th alone is worth watching.
Right, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's only like 130 yards.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've met because I go down to Florida a lot. I've met several guys that have played there, and they say, they go to the range for a week hitting 130-yard shots, but when they get to that hole, your knees knock. You get one shot at it. They
Right.
don't let you stand there and hit 10 balls.
No.
Right.
You
Any
go to the drop
predictions?
area.
Predictions?
No.
Anybody got a prediction for the
I think golf is so hard to predict.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like, anything could happen. It's a really great tournament. It's arguably the strongest field. It's stronger than the 4 majors. Although with Liv not playing in this tournament, maybe one of the majors has a better, because they got 2 of the top 5 players. But
And I'm with Paul. The other thing about the players that I like is the scores are usually good. It's 15, 16 under for a winner, which means there's a lot of birdies going on. And,
Yeah, well, that was like the Palmer tournament's a great course too.
Yep.
Hay Hill, that's a great course.
Yeah.
So
we got some good golf coming up. We're only a month away from the Masters.
Yeah.
A tradition unlike any other.
Yeah,
Yes.
unlike any other. I
Yep.
have one last question. One last thing that was on my mind, guys, before we wrap up. And I'm trying to follow this more now. I'm glad that Sportsnut Sam Izzo fills me in as games are going on. But do we think the Bruins are going to sneak in and make the playoffs or not? Because if not, I think it's truly a disappointment in that sport if they don't make the playoffs.
Well, the Bruins can't lose at home and can't win on the road.
Yeah.
That's the story of the season. They've won some outrageous number of games at home in a row.
14, I think.
Like one of the greatest streaks in the history of the entire franchise. And they go on the road and they'll blow a 5-goal lead, a 3-goal lead. They'll lose in overtime. That's their season. So I guess if you project ahead, how many home games they have left, how many road games they have left, that'll tell you if they're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
just
they're
the way
gonna.
it's been.
Yeah, great points. I think they're gonna make it. I think they are, and then, maybe they'll be one of those.
Right now, they're the second wild card team, I believe.
Yeah, they're the last spot in the Eastern Conference, which would put them against the top team. Which in hockey
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
how many times have we said that? So
yeah,
you know what? As we're all fans of all the sports, but hockey playoffs, we've said it a million times, is really great, really entertaining, really intense. So, yeah, I want them to make it. I want to be able to watch some Bruins play some hockey playoffs. So,
Ken, I got one question for you before we sign off.
yeah.
How does one of your teams,
And I have many.
Huskies, how does your coach get thrown out in the last 10 seconds of a game?
Oh, you said UConn?
Yeah.
Hurley?
Yeah.
He's a maniac. The man's literally a maniac. Talking about Jaylen Brown not being able to keep it together. That guy is just, boy, you ignite him and fireworks come out of his nostrils.
When I read that, a coach getting thrown out in the last 10 seconds.
Unbelievable. He is just crazy. Jim, congrats. I know your PC Friars won the opening round of the Big East tournament. And
Beat Butler.
Beat Butler.
Brad Stevens, Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, and they're on to play Ricky
St.
P.
John's in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, go Fry. Go. Anybody who beats Patino, I'm good with. All right, Paul, what's left on your mind that we didn't do?
Well, I just want to, all this research I've been doing into free agency, and I've been reading about all the agents. I thought I would end with my favorite quote from Jerry Maguire. Can I do that?
Yeah.
All right. I will not rest until I have you holding a Coke, wearing your own shoe, playing a Sega game featuring you, while you are singing your own song in a new commercial starring you that is broadcast during the Super Bowl in a game you are winning. I will not rest until that happens.
Well, you know what? That is a great way to end another exciting episode of Boston Sports Nuts. So thanks
I
for
like it.
watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching Boston Sports Nuts. You can find all of our episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. For more information, go to westwoodmediacenter.tv or follow Boston Sports Nuts on Facebook, Instagram, and X.